Hello there. Has the Boris Johnson Rishi Sunak COVID self-isolation U-turn opened up a rift at the top of UK politics? As per usual, please like, subscribe and comment below. So the Prime Minister's ivory tower with naff wallpaper has been shaken to the core by public opinion as he and the Chancellor are forced to both U-turn and self-isolate after they got track and trace pinged for being too close to the positively tested Sajid Javid. And all because it looked initially as if they were going to take advantage of this pilot scheme for people chosen at random of taking tests every day for 10 days and be allowed to go to work as long as the tests are negative, of course. And that was backed up by initial government claims that they would be back at their desks on Monday. And given the muted response to Michael Gove getting given the opportunity to use this pilot scheme, then maybe they thought it would be a quick Starmer storm in a teacup, followed by business as usual. But it looks like Boris and Rishi were hoist by their own ping-tard. Boris Johnson will now have time to practice his cringeworthy elbow bump alone in number 10 until he's deemed safe to re-enter society and socially mingle. Sajid Javid, who, like Andrew Marr, has had both jabs and then fell ill to COVID, will also be in self-isolation. So the Prime Minister and First Lord of the Treasury, together with his Chancellor of the Exchequer and his Health Secretary, are all now housebound for 10 days. However, thanks to the miracle of modern technology, they can all continue to make a complete pig's ear of running the country via video calls, as opposed to doing it in person. But that's not the end of it. Not only is their initial decision to use the get-out-of-jail-free card of daily testing that is not available to everyone totally elitist, the subsequent U-turn is downright cowardly. They might well have done better to stick to their initial decision. But on top of that, as soon as Sajid Javid tested positive, I assume he would have told the PM and others on the cabinet team. And the press know who met who and when, so they would be ready to pounce on anyone in government who they think doesn't obey their own rules. Think Dominic Cummings and Matt Hancock. And that is when a politically tuned-in Prime Minister would have announced that they were self-isolating pending advice and tests, etc. And a politically tuned-in Prime Minister would have told any of his colleagues who came into contact with the Health Secretary to do likewise. A politically disconnected Prime Minister would try and wriggle. But it seems they waited until they got pinged by track and trace and then opted for the wriggle option. Cue heaps of opprobrium from the public. And some of it was quite rude. How dare they talk like that to their betters? Then we only had to wait 2.5 hours for Rishi Sunak to tweet out at 10:36 this morning. Whilst the test and trace pilot is fairly restrictive, allowing only essential government business, I recognise that even the sense that the rules aren't the same for everyone is wrong. To that end, I'll be self-isolating as normal and not taking part in this pilot. And then 2 minutes later, we hear that Boris will be self-isolating too. And this afternoon, Sky News reports, Boris Johnson says he did look briefly at the idea of taking part in a daily test pilot scheme, but thinks it's far more important that everyone sticks to the same rules, so will be self-isolating until next Monday. So which U-turn came first, Sunak or Johnson? And the wording of Sunak's tweet, that does not mention Boris at all, is very telling. It's almost as if he wants to distance himself from his boss on this issue. Or at least look like his U-turn was first and was a personal decision based on morals. Or could there be more to it than that? Rishi is very ambitious by all accounts, and a joined-up team would have done a joined-up U-turn. It also now means that no one in government going forward will be able to use the testing pilot scheme. And the opposition leader Keir Starmer has probably already done a Zoom meeting with his advisers on drafting the 6 questions for PMQs on Wednesday, which the Prime Minister will presumably have to attend by conference call from his flat above number 11. Then we'll see if Boris is as good at scoring own goals as the England football team is bad at taking crucial penalties. But the potential rift between Boris Johnson and Rishi Sunak doesn't end with a self-isolation U-turn. There are claims that the PM and the Health Secretary are ganging up to try and bounce Rishi Sunak into a new 2p in the pound, £10 billion a year health tax to clear waiting lists and fund elderly care reforms. And further, that it was a condition of Javid getting appointed that he join with Boris in taking the Treasury on. Might be why Boris chose a former Chancellor to do the health job. He knows where the bodies and the money are buried. And also maybe why Sunak tweeted out such a pointed message this morning. Now, before I get to the next item, I just want to say a massive thank you to all my Patreon and PayPal supporters, as well as those that buy a mug with my mug on it. You really do help me keep this channel going. So, Nigel Farage is off to GB News to pull its ratings up by the bootstraps. And by all accounts it needs a shot in the arm. After being holed below the waterline by presenter Guto Harry in what one can only put down to a moment of madness by him. And after that public on-air taking of the knee, GB News saw its ratings fall off a cliff. More proof of the power of that well-proven statement, go woke, go broke. Harry was then suspended for the summer and has now resigned, according to The Independent, who says it has seen the resignation letter. And by the sounds of it, legal actions may be in the offing. Guto Harry also wrote in the Times that GB News was becoming an absurd parody of what it proclaims to be, and that, rather than defending free speech and confronting cancel culture, it has set out to replicate it on the far right. GB News might not be the BBC, but far right? No. Anyway, the next thing we hear is that Nigel Farage, who appears on GB News on Sunday mornings, has been drafted in to take the 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. slot Monday to Thursday to recoup the lost viewers. And that's probably not before time. Mr. Harry, it's like this. Go woke, go broke, and you nearly broke GB News. If you wish to express such physical acts of adherence to the far left, well, that's the sort of thing you do at the BBC, where you can probably take a course in submission to Marxism. And I'm sure Auntie Beeb will welcome you with open arms and even give you a pay rise. There are many ways of standing up to the abhorrent evil of racism and showing solidarity with all people across the globe. So why choose the express act made famous by a hard Marxist organisation that wants to defund the police so it can then bring down capitalism? Everyone knows the connection. As far as I'm concerned, the only people taking the knee in the UK are those that haven't bothered to look into it, those with an anti-UK political agenda, those who are too scared not to go along with it, and the weak who think they're currying favour with other people by doing it. At least when talking about his new evening GB News slot, Nigel Farage stated that he will not be taking the knee to anyone. But if Her Majesty came through the door, sword in hand, ready to dub him Sir Nigel, you might see him take the knee then. So what's your opinion on Johnson and Sunak, as well as Farage on GB News? Please like and comment below.